How your brain traps old boundary violations. Have you ever felt the quiet, heavy discomfort of someone crossing your boundaries and, at the very same time, noticed how incredibly hard it can be to set them clearly in the first place? Do you find yourself stretching yourself thin to avoid disappointing others, constantly saying yes when your entire inside is screaming no, even when it costs you dearly? And then afterward, you are left with this lingering unease in your body. Maybe a burning irritation, a deep shame, or a painful feeling that you have completely betrayed yourself. If you recognize this, I want you to take a deep breath right now because you need to know something vital. This is not a coincidence, and it is absolutely not a character flaw. It has everything to do with how your brain and your nervous system have been programmed by your past. When we talk about boundaries, most of us understand them perfectly on an intellectual level. We know we should say no. We know we should stand up for ourselves. But when the moment arrives, whether you are standing in front of a dominant family member, a demanding colleague, a perpetrator, or a friend, your mind freezes, your throat tightens, and the words just won't come out. Why does this happen? It happens because your body holds the story. Somewhere along your journey, your nervous system learned that saying no was dangerous, that your needs were too much, or that keeping the peace at all costs mattered more than honoring who you are. And that learning didn't stay in your thoughts. It settled deep into your biology, into your muscles, and into the very way you hold your breath before you speak. To truly break free from these patterns, we have to look beneath the surface at what is actually happening inside your brain, specifically in your amygdala. The amygdala is your brain's internal alarm system. Its sole job is to keep you safe from threats. When you experience a boundary violation, whether it's a single major event from your past or a chronic daily pressure in your current family or work life, your amygdala perceives this pressure as a direct threat to your survival. When this alarm goes off, it triggers a massive stress activation in your nervous system. For some, this activates the sympathetic nervous system, the gas pedal. Your heart races, your muscles tighten, and you enter a state of high alert readiness, filled with defensive anger or anxiety. But for many of us, especially if we learned early in life that we couldn't fight back or run away, the amygdala forces the nervous system into a different kind of stress activation, a parasympathetic collapse. This is the freeze or compliance response. It is the body's ultimate emergency brake. In a parasympathetic collapse, your system is flooded with stress, but your energy is completely shut down to protect you. Your throat literally constricts, your inner director goes silent, and you helplessly submit or say yes just to survive the interaction. The tragedy of this collapse is that because you couldn't physically fight or flee, that massive wave of stress energy never gets spent. It gets trapped. It stays locked inside your body as physical tension, a low-level hum of anxiety, and that agonizing feeling of self-betrayal you experience after the situation is over. When your nervous system is stuck in this state of survival, your brain suffers from what we call tunnel vision. In this high-stress state, you may lose the capacity to communicate clearly or to advocate for your own boundaries in a healthy way. Even worse, you lose the ability to see other perspectives. You cannot find those beautiful, balanced, win-win solutions where everyone's needs and boundaries are respected because your brain is simply too busy trying to survive the perceived threat. This is exactly why simply thinking or talking your way through boundary issues rarely works. You cannot talk a terrified nervous system into feeling safe. The charge lives in your flesh and bones. To resolve this, we have to look at how the brain processes these experiences through your 5 inner senses: common faculty, imagination, thought, memory, and comprehension. When a boundary is crossed and the stress is too overwhelming, your inner sense of comprehension gets blocked. the experience cannot be digested. It gets stored in the brain as an unintegrated, charged experience, causing you to loop in the same defensive behaviors over and over again. The deep release meditations are designed to be your direct solution to this biological trap. We don't analyze the past. Instead, we use precise releasing techniques to manually release that accumulated, stuck tension from your nervous system. By emptying the body of this old physical charge, we quiet the amygdala and signal to your brain that the threat is officially over. Your inner sense of comprehension unlocks. The experience is finally digested, and your system returns to a state of calm, grounded safety. Safe enough to take up space. Safe enough to say, stop. Healthy boundaries are not cold, hard walls meant to push people away or attack them. True boundaries are an act of love for yourself and for the people around you. They create the clarity, safety, and mutual respect that actually make genuine closeness and harmony possible, because both people can finally trust that what is real will be honestly expressed. To help you clear these blocks completely, we have created 2 distinct, powerful, deep release meditations that target these boundary patterns from different angles. In the first meditation, titled Reclaiming Healthy Boundaries, we systematically work from 3 distinct angles because boundaries are never just a one-way street. We address the first angle, where your boundaries were crossed by others, releasing the stored tension left behind. We then move to the second angle, where you may have crossed someone else's boundaries, clearing blocks, and perhaps the hidden weight of guilt and shame without falling into self-condemnation. Finally, we address the third, most overlooked angle, the boundaries you hold or fail to hold toward yourself, clearing the patterns of overriding your own exhaustion and ignoring your own inner signals. This 3-dimensional approach cleans the entire slate of your relational habits. The second meditation focuses heavily on the power of your inner voice. Please be aware before you begin that this specific session involves a much more active and intense approach than the meditations you may have experienced with us before. In this session, you will be challenged to break through the toughest blocks. We are using a specialized somatic release technique designed to directly release tension in your amygdala and help you reclaim your birthright of taking up space. It is absolutely vital to work on these boundary beliefs and release the heavy charge surrounding them now. Clearing these blockages cleanses your social lens and builds the essential foundation required for our upcoming advanced work on manifesting and creating harmonious human relationships from within. If you feel something stirring deep inside you as you watch this, a recognition, a longing to finally live without constantly having to choose between yourself and others, that is your signal. That signal is worth following. Thank you for choosing these deep release meditations and for having the courage to release yourself from the internal walls that have held you captive. If you haven't joined our full program yet, click the link below to explore Journey 1, Relational Freedom, and clear these patterns at the root. Your freedom is waiting. Let's begin.